initial response to the State of the Nation address delivered this afternoon by His Excellency the President of our dear nation. Once again, Mr. President addressed Ghanaians as though he was on a campaign platform. His address was full of rhetorics, creating the impression that someone else is responsible for running the economy. Issue 1, cocoa. We are all aware that when the NDC was in opposition, they promised that upon assumption of office, the minimum price they will pay for cocoa per bag, that is the producer price or the farm gate price, will be 6,000 Ghana cedis. Today, they have rather reduced the price of cocoa per bag, making the poor cocoa farmer worse off. They claim that there were some international market downturns. Therefore, the poor cocoa farmer should suffer for it. But it's the reason why the state has reserves. It's the reason why we have a country called Ghana. That when there is crisis, the state must intervene. What the government has failed to tell us is how much it will cost the country should the cocoa farmer be given support by maintaining the 3,600 per bag of cocoa. They rather reduced the price, gave a haircut, and today Mr. President could not offer any reasonable explanation. Neither could he give a justification for this haircut. We again reiterate our demand on the president and his government. Pay the cocoa farmer. Pay the cocoa farmer what is rightfully his. The Ghanaian cocoa farmer is worse off and he deserves better. Keep to your promise and not empty rhetorics. Second issue is electricity. The president claims that upon assumption of office, the government has taken away nuisance taxes. We disagree as a minority. What we know practically is that government has rather imposed 1 Ghana cedi per liter of petrol that we buy at the pump. They introduced what we call Dumso levy, the energy sector reform levy, Dumso levy, which they hurriedly passed in parliament. We are aware that when it comes to electricity, they have increased electricity tariffs between 25 to 30%. Even so, in practical terms, households and industries are worse off because they are paying more on electricity and it is biting them very hard. Though on paper, the electricity tariffs have increased by this 25 to 30%. In reality, households are paying more than 100% in terms of tariff hikes. Because if previously an individual will buy 1,000 Ghana cedi electricity for a month, now that 1,000 Ghana cedi can only last for a week. If not suffering from this, and the president cannot come to parliament and tell us that they met some energy sector debts. What we are even experiencing is that Dumso is back. Doomsaw is back. Apart from this, we also note that the president was again interested in bureaucracy and nothing about actual jobs created. The NDC has been in office for over a year now. They promised a 24-hour economy, one job, three shifts. The president could not tell the people of Ghana as to whether or not the government has been able to implement this 24-hour economy. What we rather know is that since this government came into office, thousands of Ghanaian youth who were already employed were dismissed from the employ of state-owned institutions. Some who have been in employment since 2017, 18, 19, and all were all sacked. The 24-hour economy is yet to see the light of day. In fact, one incentive that would have promoted this 24-hour economy is cheaper electricity. So if government is making electricity expensive to consume, to use, how does the government attract investment? In fact, the 1D, 1F policy, since it was cancelled, there hasn't been an alternative policy to drive economic growth. The Ministry of Trade has not announced any policy alternative to boost economic growth through job creation, through more businesses. There is on PR rather than serious governance that will create jobs. Galamsey. Today we heard another rhetoric from His Excellency the President that they are fishing for the godfathers of Galamsey. Like seriously, you've been in government for a year. You are now looking for the kingpins of Galamsey. I would want, on behalf of the minority caucus, state unequivocally that this government is not interested in fighting Galamsey. In fact, the gold board that they've established, practically what gold board is doing is to promote Galamsey, because gold board has not brought up any regulation, any blueprint that directs its aggregators to buy genuine gold regularly mined from licensed miners. For them, it's a free for all, and there is no directive on this. Government is not making any serious efforts at fighting Galamsey. So we don't take government serious when it comes to Galamsey, about inflation having coming down. Are the inflation ebedi? Are we going to eat inflation? What is inflation on paper when it has no effect in the pocket of the ordinary Ghanaian? If the president is talking about macroeconomic stability, you can achieve stability on paper for the IMF and the World Bank. But the real stability is when the Ghanaian people go to the market and experience lower prices on foodstuffs. But when they are complaining, you cannot use paper inflation to claim credit and ask us to applaud you. We will not applaud the government. We are not interested in the paper inflation. That is paper success. Practically, they have failed. They have given haircut to cocoa farmers. Thousands of jobs lost. Electricity tariffs have increased astronomically. Cost of living keeps rising within just a year. So if Mr. President says that they are in a takeoff mood and is advising Ghanaians to tighten their belt, fasten their seat belt, we understand. So he's telling us that we should expect more hardship. We see that in today's submission by Mr. President, especially on the aspect of the economy that talks about strengthening the city, he was clear with the facts, and those facts we do not disagree with him. He says that there has been stabilization measures, but we know that these stabilization measures did not just fall from the sky. The gold for forex and the gold for reserves, these were strategic decisions that were and remain the brainchild of our flag bearer, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. The gold buffers that provided confidence, the framework that steadied the currency, and the foundation that made today's stability possible were already in place before 2025. But monopolization of the gold trade and then the gold for forex initiative that we introduced. By the way, according to the IMF, as at end 2025, the losses incurred by Gold Board and Bank of Ghana had increased to over 7 billion cedis. We, the minority, hereby say that these 7 billion cedis could have done our roads, constructed hospitals, created opportunities in the private sector for the many Ghanaian youth who are unemployed, and in fact, it could have been enough to establish the women banking that they promised in opposition that they have failed. On Monday, we are going to bring to the attention of the country our comprehensive submission on the true state of the economy, on the true state of the nation. But for now, we conclude by saying that this government is only fixated on PR gimmicks and is only interested in political rhetorics rather than real action and creating opportunity for all Ghanaians. Thank you very much indeed. I repeat, we stand with Ghanaian cocoa farmers. We, the minority, we stand with Ghanaian cocoa farmers. Thank you very much.